House Republicans have an idea on how to spur job creation and make Illinois more competitive with our border states. The pro-growth jobs package includes 7 different bills aimed at creating a better business climate in the state. The package includes bills that would reduce the cost of starting a small business, eliminate job-killing administrative policies, and speed up the approval of permits and licenses. It would also make research and development tax credits permanent, enact stronger workers' compensation reform, and reduce corporate taxes, among other consequences.
We know that we can do more in workers' compensation reform. We know that Central Illinois can be a mecca for specialized manufacturing. But what there is there's no certainty.
Governor Pat Quinn signed an overhaul of the state workers' compensation system into law in 2011. At the time, Quinn estimated the changes would save Illinois businesses at least $500 million a year.
If some lawmakers have their way, you soon could be putting the pedal to the metal on Illinois interstates. A bill introduced in the Illinois Senate would raise the speed limit on state interstates. News Channel at 9's Michon Portfolio has more.
Illinois state senators say cars should be able to go 70 on Illinois interstates.
I-57 going south, big 2-lane straight road, why not?
Right now, the maximum speed in Illinois is 65 miles per hour. But a new bill proposes raising the speed limit by 5 miles per hour on interstates and highways with at least 4 lanes of traffic. Senator Rose says it's safer.
About closing that gap on the speed differential, because the speed differential is what is really unsafe for motorists and ends up hurting a lot of people.
Most surrounding states like Missouri and Kentucky have higher speed limits than Illinois.
I've just gone through a bunch of states that are 70 and 75, and when you get to Illinois, you're at 65. It's ridiculous.
One commuter doesn't think changing the speed limit will make roads any less safe.
If you have a bad accident, I don't think there's much difference between 65 and 70.
But drivers from out of state don't mind slowing down once they reach Illinois.
Well, you cope with it.
For News at 9 on Fox Illinois, I'm Michelle Lindstrom.
Not every driver we interviewed supports raising the speed limit. The bill would not raise the speed limit around Chicago or St. Louis.
Over the last few months, we've been telling you about police efforts to track down a man who has been impersonating a police officer. The man in a beat-up white car tries to pull over women late at night, and in one case tried to attack a young woman. Now the Illinois House has passed a bill to crack down on police impersonators. News Channel at 9's Michon Lindstrom has more.
As soon as you see those red and blue flashing lights, you know it's time to pull over.
I pull over. That's the first thing I would do.
What if the car behind you isn't actually an emergency responder? A new bill passed in the House is aimed at making sure that doesn't happen.
With this new law, just possessing those lights, we don't need to wait for them to pull somebody over. We can just charge them for being in possession of these lights.
Any person caught with red or blue, rotating, oscillating, or flashing lights in their car would be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. And that makes police happy.
This gives law enforcement more teeth to protect the citizens out there against police impersonators.
It's something needed in this part of the state. In the past few months, there have been reports of a cop impersonator who's reportedly been pulling over female drivers late at night. He still hasn't been caught, but if this measure becomes law, police hope it will help deter copycats.
I hope this leads to, when you see those lights in people's cars, maybe the police can stop them and we can find out who this person is impersonating a police officer here in our area.
While this bill could protect people in the future, the hunt is still on for the local impersonator.
We hope they catch this guy first because, by the time it goes to the Senate, the governor signs it and all that, it's maybe a few months process to get that done.
Even though the bill still has to make its way through the Senate, citizens are already feeling safer.
It already makes me feel like we are making everybody in the community a lot safer.
In Springfield, I'm Michelle Lindstrom for News Channel at 9 on Fox Illinois.
And there are certain exemptions to the bill that allow for certain people, like volunteer firefighters, to have these lights in their cars, but they can be used only in emergency situations.
Taking the train may be a cheaper option if you're going on a road trip. The price of regular unleaded in our area has soared to $4 a gallon. While fueling up in Illinois, you're paying 60 cents per gallon in taxes alone. That's because the federal government charges an 18-cent tax. Illinois charges an extra 19 cents per gallon, a 1-cent environmental protection fee, plus a minimum 6.25% sales tax depending on the local tax rate. Some towns may also charge a motor fuel tax.
We are one of the few retailers that price the product with all the taxes in it. You know, when you come in and buy it, you know what you're going to pay when you get on the tarmac. When you buy other things, you may have hidden costs in it, and they come up when you pay for the product.
Illinois gases are the highest in the Midwest, so know before you go. You can find the cheapest gas prices in town by going to WICS.com and click on Pump Patrol. The Lincoln Home is calling for more volunteers in light of federal budget cuts. Last summer, the historic site had 160 volunteers, and the Park Service is looking to add as many people as possible this year. Volunteers will be trained to help with everything from welcoming guests at the visitor center to maintaining the gardens. The site superintendent says because they still don't know what next year's budget will bring, volunteers are becoming even more important.
There could be further reductions in operating costs, and which will force me to make some very, very difficult decisions about operating and how we can operate within that amount of money. And if that's the case, then those volunteers are going to become even more important in order for us to maintain status quo.
Phillips says $160,000 was cut from the Lincoln Homes budget this fiscal year. The site could see more than 120,000 visitors over the summer. Enos Park in Springfield is celebrating improvements to the neighborhood with the Rock the Block party tonight. One of those improvements is the new sculpture park, which received its first sculpture during the party today. The president of the Enos Park Neighborhood Improvement Association says the group and its volunteers have worked hard to improve the community.
Celebrating 2 years of trying to eliminate some of the blight of our neighborhood, trying to turn it around, get property into the hands of people who are serious about improving their homes.
The Block Party was also celebrating the grand opening of Susie Q's restaurant and the renovation of 2 historic houses in the neighborhood. The Jacksonville Wolverines soccer team is gearing up for the summer games this weekend.
It's kind of the highlight of the year, 3 days in Bloomington, normal.
Even though the team will be competing in the Special Olympics, they train just as hard as any other team.
It's a serious sport. These guys take the sport seriously. The coaches take the sport seriously. We train, we run plays, we work on fundamentals just like any other coach would.
And the hard work has paid off for the team in the past.
We've had some players that went on to world games and to national games, and we do pretty well.
One of those players is Kevin Bush, who got a chance to play in the World Games.
It was a real good experience competing against other countries.
His team placed 3rd in the World Games, but Kevin says while he likes winning, he does it for the experience.
Time it's a learning experience for me.
And despite his success as a player, Kevin manages to stay modest about this weekend's games.
I'm just going to do my best.
In Jacksonville, I'm Michon Lindstrom.
Soccer.
I'm in Jacksonville right now at Camp Carolat's 20th year anniversary, and this camp is not your average camp. Camp Carolat in Jacksonville is celebrating its 20th year anniversary. The week-long camp allows children from low-income households to have an experience they otherwise may not get. Former campers came to the celebration and spoke about the impact Camp Carolat had on their lives. The celebration was held to honor everyone who made the camp possible.
We are celebrating 20 years of bringing camping to the life of over 1,700 children in the central Illinois community. So we are celebrating our founding members. We are also celebrating those people who have given to us in terms of donors.
Each year, the camp has about 50 new campers. And as you can see right behind me is a Ferris wheel, and the kids will actually be able to ride this in just a couple minutes. It's an exciting day here in Jacksonville. I'm Michon Lindstrom for ABC News Channel 20.
New tonight at 9, a new bill that could allow psychologists to prescribe medications for mental illness is causing some controversy throughout the state. News Channel at 9's Michon Lindstrom has more.
Illinois could join 2 other states that allow psychologists to prescribe medication.
About 10% of psychologists in New Mexico and Louisiana choose to do it.
Currently in the state, only psychiatrists are allowed to prescribe medicine, but they tend to have long waiting periods.
It's a great help to be able to work with another psychologist who understands what you're doing and can also help with the prescribing.
The bill would require psychologists to undergo extra training and obtain a master's degree in psychopharmacology.
We are then required to do continuing medical education credits, so we take the exact same tests that the psychiatrists do to get their CME credits.
But not every psychologist is in favor of the bill. Published reports from members of the Psychiatric Society say the legislation would lower the bar to prescribe medications in Illinois to the lowest standards in the country.
We believe the bill is not only unsafe, it's unscientific, and it's completely unnecessary.
Dr. Tomlin doesn't think the required training is enough.
We psychologists are highly trained in psychology, which is a behavioral science. We are not trained in biomedicine.
Opponents are willing to compromise, though.
These persons who want to prescribe could become certified as physician assistants or nurse practitioners, and then they would be able to prescribe these medications, and there would be no controversy whatsoever.
In Springfield, I'm Michon Lindstrom for News Channel 9 on Fox, Illinois.
That bill is currently awaiting a vote in the Senate. The Senate will be back in session April 10th. Illinois lawmakers approved a bill last week that would allow online voting registration in the state, but they forgot one major thing: money, leaving the State Board of Elections and local election authorities wondering how they'll scrape up the money to fund the project. News Channel 9's Michon Lindstrom has more.
Illinois is on its way to becoming the 19th state in the country to allow voters to register online, if the State Board of Elections can find the money to get the project off the ground.
We are definitely looking at all of the line items that we have in our budget. We are going to do the best we possibly can to get the online voter registration up and running.
It's estimated setting up the system will cost in excess of $1 million. The State Board of Elections will have to pick up the tab, not local election offices. But with next year's budget already on the governor's desk, they won't be receiving any extra help.
Because there was not a separate appropriation, we will have to use our funds to be able to get this thing completed.
But once the system is up and running, it's expected to save local election authorities money.
The cost was a tremendous decrease for them.
And the Macon County Clerk says it will save them more than just money.
It'll make it easier and quicker for us if we can do that, so that you don't have the entry time, you don't have to decipher handwriting.
Steve Bean says while it is going to be a process, it's a good step for the state.
It'll be probably a positive thing to help registration or change of addresses and so forth.
It may be hard to find the money, but Rupert Borgsmiller is up for it.
It's going to be challenging, but it's like anything else. I like challenges.
For News Channel at 9 on Fox, Illinois, I'm Michon Lindstrom.
Some county clerks estimates online voting registration could save counties about 80 cents per voter. Governor Quinn still has to sign the bill into law, but has said he fully supports the idea. The State Board of Elections would have until July 2014 to get the system online.